South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, Kenny White. We're all here on a Thursday, final Thursday of May, guys.
Exciting. 2 teams punched their tickets to the finals last night.
Halfway home and making both of the finals. Florida, empty net goal and puck line. Luck box at the end for me. Both of those. But Sam Bennett timed Kevin out of the box correctly to put that away. And then the Thunder, that game was over very quickly. OKC runs Minnesota out. They went in 5. They'll have a week, more than a week off. Finals begin a week from today. So they'll have home court. Might just be at this rate an all-time team just hiding in plain sight. Thunder after last night are now 61, 35, and 3 against the spread. Playoffs included this year. That's a solid 63.5% on the year after their beatdown win of Minnesota last night.
I don't have the record book for ATS, the best of all time, but that's got to be right there with anybody.
I can help you out here. Evan Abrams was who had the tweet initially. It is the best ATS mark of any team making the finals in the past 30 seasons. And I'm not certain if that's just because the data runs out in the after that.
Right, I'm sure.
But
it's hard to go back.
The past 30 seasons, this is the best spread record of any team entering the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I got data back to the 70s, but not handily and ready to go. But I would believe that this is one of the best teams of all time. All I can compare it to is my power ratings, and on a team power rating, I felt like last year's Celtics team was one of the best of all time. This team's almost 2.5 points better than last year's Celtics championship team. So this team is really, when you're covering spreads, you're using plus minuses, and every time you're covering spreads, you're above the betting line. You got to continue to raise that team's power rating, and this team is so good on both ends of the court. They're the best offense and the best defense, and they're very, very talented, and they show it. They just beat up a really good team in Minnesota.
Really crazy with the average age of this team as well, and one of the youngest to do it. Nobody on the team that has been in the league for 10 seasons. So pretty incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible.
We have baseball to get to out of the chute because that game in Philly we anticipated would get rained out. Yesterday did get rained out. For the Phils, looking to complete what would be a modified sweep here, double dip First game starts in 3 minutes, so we'll get this game in quickly. Christopher Sanchez, Smith Shawver on the other end. So it is a different pitching matchup than projected yesterday.
Yeah.
We get a big time one in the night game now. Minus 160 on the Phillies. Total of 8 here with a plus 145 on the take back of Atlanta.
Only thing I'd say is a little bit, I think, too high here with Sanchez going now compared to the pitcher on the other side with Smith Shawver, who I wanted to go against yesterday with Wheeler. But now that it's these two, I mean, I think this should be closer to a pick 'em. I think there's some value there at that plus 145 with the Braves. But I did not bet it. I'm looking more at that game 2 here.
Yeah, I'll tell you that the Phillies hit lefties better than righties, and the Braves hit lefties better than righties. So game 1 fits for Atlanta. I think Atlanta's a good play. I think that Acuna, a doubleheader, you got to believe Acuna is going to play game 1. They're not going to run him out there against Wheeler and play him 2 games in one day. So you'll get an abbreviated lineup, I think, for the Braves in game 2. I think the Braves will go after this one and try to get game 1 of this series today, the doubleheader. And then, again, Philly may be the bet in the second game. But, yeah, I do like the Braves here in game 1.
Game 2, we'll hit it real quick. What a matchup this turned into because of the change of the double dip. The Phillies are just going to throw Wheeler tonight instead against Chris Sale. So this is, look, if the Phillies take game 1, it is a scenario where it's a stopper mode for Chris Sale, would be avoiding the sweep. I mean, if the Phillies win both of these games today, guys, and we've talked about this with the NL East, the Phillies will have an opportunity to open up on the Atlanta Braves a lead of 11 and a half games. If they win both today, they would be up to 3 on the Mets. Again, Phillies have taken advantage of what's in front of them. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're a small favorite in game 2, and we know those prices will move based off of what happens in game 1.
As I think they should, because kind of like you're saying, if Braves take game 1, I'd love Phillies in that spot for game 2. I also like I like under in the first 5. It is 3.5. Juice to the over, though, so you are getting even money for that under. I'd do a small play on that as well, because with both of those pitchers going, as you said, Jeff, I mean, both of them are pitching so well. Sale in his last 4, giving up 2 runs just once, and we talked about it yesterday with Wheeler, 0 earned runs in his last 3 starts. 19 and 2/3 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. So I think he could keep it going here against the Braves.
Sale's pitching amazing. Wheeler's pitching amazing. This is a great pitcher's matchup in this game. The problem with playing under is the Phillies hit lefties so well. And the Braves, again, they struggle. They hit lefty. They both hit lefties really well. Both of these teams hit lefties really well. But I think you'll see in a little bit of an abbreviated lineup. I would look for maybe a Braves under if you're going to go in that direction. But boy, with these 2 pitchers, my total shakes out to 9. But whenever I've got 2 elite pitchers, or if I have 1 elite pitcher, I take a half runoff. If I got 2 elite pitchers, I take a runoff. So I'm down to 8. But I really think these guys are even better than elite. I want to take a runoff for each guy. Their ratings are so high and make the game 7. It still really doesn't give me a huge value to go under. So I'm going to pass, but I'll bet the Phillies here because I think that the lineup will be abbreviated against Wheeler.
Just a quick question to go back to that first game and looking at your total. You do have a pretty high total there too with 9.5. Is this a place where you would want to play an over with? Kind of like we talked about last week, no game yesterday, hitters ready to go here in this first one, and kind of an easier matchup for them pitching-wise.
I do have, a high rating for Sanchez over 100, so I take a half run off that. So I adjust it down to 9. I don't have the difference there. So my only differences on the game is Braves game 1 and Phillies game 2. My totals are pretty close on both of those. So after making adjustments.
Only 3 more games on the card in period here today, and we'll just start in the AL. We'll go north of the border. A's travel up to take on Toronto. Jose Barrios is going to get the ball for the Jays. It'll be Lopez on the other side for the A's, minus 165 on Toronto, a total of 8 tonight at Rogers Center.
So Lopez has gotten some time up in the bigs. We saw him a lot in AAA. Done very well this season. So don't really know what we're going to get from him today, though, against this Toronto lineup, who has been hitting fairly well. I'm just going to stay off of this one. I think that number's pretty big, though, here for the Blue Jays. But there's another game coming up that I like a lot more.
Yeah, Lopez, great story. Junior college kid that went in the 26th round. You don't see these type of guys make the big leagues. And he's a lefty, though. I can't believe when I look 6'4", 220 lefty that went in the 26th round. Why didn't he go higher? You know, he probably was a soft thrower in junior college, and he is. He's 91 right now in the big league, so he's a soft lefty. And you know, the soft lefties have a really good game now and then, but more often than not, you know, they can't get through the lineup 3 times, and they can get through the lineup twice, but that third time they get hit really hard. So maybe it's a spot to, you know, take a look at him. You want to back the Blue Jays if the score is tied, you know, going into the 3rd or 4th inning, because they'll probably end up hitting Lopez if he hangs around that long.
4.5 first 5, Barrios minus 30 in that first 5 against Lopez. Again, A's just playing some miserable baseball right now, down to 10 games under 500, even with a win on Sunday. They lose yesterday 5-3 in a game where the bullpen failed them in the 7th inning. Against the Astros. Speaking of the Astros, they welcome Tampa. The Rays will take on the Stros right now in this one. The Astros small favorites at minus 115. The total of this one is 8. Gusto and Boz, your pitching matchup in this one down in H-Town.
Really, for me in this one, with a solid 8 here, I like that over. And it's not a huge difference from the number-wise, but just looking at both of these lineups and how they've been hitting in the last 7 days, I want to back that. And especially because we have 2 pitchers going that are pretty average big league pitchers. So we'll start with the Rays, batting .273 as a team, .329 OBP, and .132 WRC+. Looking at the Astros, .329, .381, and a .155 WRC+. I keep talking about the Astros at home. They are at home. I like this spot and them against righties. So 8 over, I think that's a good play here.
Yeah, the pitching, you look at these 2 guys, Boz and Gusto, over the last 3 starts, both of them, their xFIP's over 5. They've been very, very hittable, and both teams are swinging it right now. Current form, they're both swinging the bats. So I definitely agree with you there, Alex. I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
I think we kind of have to look at that. And yesterday with the Marlins and the Padres, we didn't have a great play on it, but looking at the pitchers going with Sandy, I can't remember who was going for the Padres, but that game flew over. So current form and kind of taking advantage of pitchers. Like you said, I forgot about that xFIP too in their last 3 starts.
And in the last game on the board today, Seattle welcomes the Nats for the final time. It'll be Hancock and Mackenzie Gore, your pitching matchup tonight in the Pacific Northwest. Mariners, again, looking to hit the left-hander, as we've talked about with Seattle. We know the home road splits a huge difference for the M's this year, Alex.
Kind of want to make a case for the under. Shoot, it's 7.5 now. Or maybe it already was. Yeah, it might have been. But really looking at these 2 pitchers, I think that Mackenzie Gore has been pretty unlucky. He does have a 1.25 whip compared to his 3.47 ERA. You have him above average pitcher. And I do agree with that. Solid lefty. Hancock on the other side, kind of few starts that really skewed his numbers, gave up 7 against New York. And then there was another really good team that hit him pretty good, the Tigers. So 2 of the top teams in the American League really got to him. Other than that, he's been pretty good. I'm also maybe I'm stretching here, but first game, Mariners 9-1. Second game, other side with the Nats 9-0. So thinking this one's got to be a little bit tighter here between the 2, and we are going to have a blowout on one side.
Yeah, Emerson Hancock has kind of been a disappointment, I think, for Seattle so far, but he's still just 25 years old, and it does look like he has shown some improvement this year. The fastball velocity is up to 95, and he has been a little unlucky, right? The xFIP 4.31. He's just pitched so many bad games. I only see really 2 good starts out of his 8. So it just very inconsistent pitcher so far. I lean to the over here. The fact that Seattle hits those lefties well, and Hancock has been very inconsistent.
I mean, he's got quite a few quality starts on there, right? I mean, 6 innings and 2 or 3 earned runs in there. I guess against the Padres, he did only go 4 2/3, so kind of got him out of there for that one.
Yeah, I didn't give him a quality start for that one. I give him a quality start at in Sacramento against the Athletics, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. And the other game I thought was a quality start was at Boston, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. But other than that, he hasn't really gotten past the 5th inning.
You know, this has been a series of blowouts so far. 9-1, 9-0. Rubber match here in this, so maybe we'll get a competitive game for once between these two teams. As you mentioned, Kenny, Emerson Hancock has struggled so far this year, but I would look to Seattle just outright. Not first 5, just take the full game. I want opportunities against a national bullpen.
Yeah, you do.
That's what I want. I want Gore. Gore can have his 6 innings, 1-run ball. Hancock's just got to keep Seattle in this game. That Washington bullpen is a dumpster fire, as we know. So I would very, very, very happily look for that. All right. We're going to go to some awards here in Major League Baseball. Look at the MVP markets real quick first. And then do a little Cy Young action a little bit later, because these MVP markets right now, I mean, it's just comical what Aaron Judge is in these markets and what Aaron Judge has done so far this year. Judge entering today's action. Yankees are off after sweeping the Angels during the week in Anaheim. Judge now is hitting .391. Not bad. Leads the league in RBI as well at 47. 18 homers. He already has 81 hits on the year. Has an OPS of 1,227. An OPS plus of 245. By the way, just so everyone knows, the average on OPS plus is 100. Judge is at 245. A looked at high end, like, hey, you're having a good year. OPS is around 850, and Judge is almost 400 points higher than that. He's minus 60,000 at DraftKings. He's minus 80,000 at FanDuel right now. You can get 30 to 1 on Bobby Witt at FanDuel, and then after that, it's 90 to 1 or more. There's no argument for anyone else. This is just more of just an informational of, hey, Aaron Judge is an insane favorite across the board right now, and he should be, unless if he gets hurt.
You're going to leave it to me. Yeah, it's hard to argue that. He's having a tremendous season. I mean, last year was a great year too, but he struggled in the playoffs. And I'm sure this guy has so much pride that he got in the best shape of his life coming into this year. When you see him hitting 391 with power, it's just crazy numbers that he's putting up. So, you're right about if there wasn't no Aaron Judge, you got to look at Cal Raleigh and maybe even Bobby Witt a little bit. He had a nice hitting streak to start the year, and I know he's going to put up good stats for the American League. But yeah, it's all Aaron Judge. It's not even close.
I had to leave it to you because last time we looked at these awards, I tried to make a case that he would eventually have a, slumping period like everybody does during this long season. But now up to those odds and the way he is playing, it's tough to even want to take a flyer on anyone.
There's no argument. Just save your money, go to a different market. But we just want to check in on these numbers. Just shows how insane Judge has been this year. By the way, on base OPS, just regular OPS, Judge, as we mentioned, at 227. Ryan O'Hearn, if you had gotten that right, that would have been good on you. Is second best in the AL at 977, and Raleigh, who we just mentioned, at 966. There's no argument unless if Judge gets hurt. If Judge gets hurt, it would all depend on how much time he missed. Even if he missed 6 weeks, he still probably would be good. If it was longer than that, then we could have a little bit of a conversation. Raleigh would be the only other. Right now, if I had a ballot, Judge would be 1, Raleigh would be 2, and then Witt would be 3rd for me. That would be my 1, 2, 3 if we're going to do that order right now in the American League.
Does Raleigh make you nervous at all as a catcher and how many games he is playing to start the season?
Yeah, a little bit. You're going to get some wear down there, and he doesn't play in the best hitter's ballpark either. So that hurts him a little bit.
It's really impressive, his numbers, though. And
yeah, been great.
In that position.
Been great so far up there in Seattle. All right, NL side of things. Shohei Ohtani is an odds-on favorite to win the NL MVP for the second consecutive year. It's been obviously very, very fun for him in Los Angeles. Now, I'm looking for an argument against Ohtani. The problem that I run into is who's the other guy? Now, if you're looking at just regular numbers, Freddie Freeman actually leads the National League in both OPS and the OPS plus markers. Now, it's tight as all hell. Freeman is 1,044. Ohtani's 1,042. OPS plus, Freeman's 194, Ohtani's 191. So it is super, super tight on both of those. If you're just going on WAR, Ohtani's WAR is better at 2.8, even though right now the leading WAR in the National League goes with Pete Crow Armstrong, who we talked about when we did this last. He's at 3.2. By the way, if you wanted to guess the second best WAR in the American League, good luck. You'd have no chance. It's Chris Bubich right now of the Royals at 3.2, according to Baseball Reference. Look, my big issue is I don't know where I'd go if I'm not going with Ohtani at this point. I'd love to make an argument for Freddie Freeman, but I don't think the voters would vote for Freddie Freeman over Ohtani, even though they're having comparable seasons so far, especially if Shohei comes back and pitches at all effectively. The hope is that he comes back after the All-Star game right now for the mound for the Dodgers. The only other argument would be PCA, but at some point I expect Crow Armstrong to have a little bit of one of those, have a slump. Again, first full year in the majors, always really scares me, even though he's not Rookie of the Year eligible. Would only be a look at this point to him, but it's Ohtani's award. Looking for arguments, I can't find one right now, Alex.
Pretty crazy and pretty unfair. Top 3 OPS right now in the National League are all Dodgers with Freeman, Ohtani, and then Will Smith. I really like Corbin Carroll. I'd like to make a case for him, but I do not like those numbers at 10-1. I feel like he should be getting way better odds. So I would look out to see if I could get a better number on him, but I like the way he's playing. I do think he's a huge part of that Diamondbacks offense, and I mean, they really need to make a run here, especially in that division. So if they were to, and he was leading that, that's probably the best case I could make in this league here.
Yeah, great points. I can't see voters voting for Freeman over Ohtani. It just, the home run difference is the major tipping point. Ohtani's going to have, close to 50 home runs, and Freddie will hit 30, and it's impossible for voters to oversee that. And it's also, they're going to look and see Ohtani stole close to 40 bases and would be another 40-40 guy. And Freeman's going to have 0 stolen bases. So, the value is all there with Shohei. So, he's got to be the odds-on favorite to win this. Pete Crow Armstrong doesn't walk and strikes out a lot. Guys that do that are gonna go in slumps. It has to happen, and it will. And the other guy that you just mentioned, Alex,
Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll is the same.
Yeah.
He's not a high walk guy, and he strikes out a lot. So guys like that go in slumps. Shohei Ohtani with the eye that he has, Freddie Freeman with the eye that he has, they're not going to go in slumps. So there will. I mean, I shouldn't say they're not going to. They will hit a rough patch, but not like the guys that are free swingers.
I like Kyle Tucker's walk to strikeout ratio.
Great
and
hitter. Love Kyle Tucker.
Yes.
It was a great pickup by the by the Cubs.
The only down the board option, I know we did just running it back from a month ago. Ellie Day Cruz is the only other one, but I don't see it. I don't see the voters. I don't think there'll be Ohtani fatigue yet. That probably comes next year. But like you said, Kenny, I think that home run where Ohtani very easily could lead the majors in homers.
Yeah.
If Freeman's 15 behind him, 18 behind him, which is likely, just don't see how the voters vote for Freddie Freeman. I personally think Freddie Freeman should have better odds than both the Cubs guys and Carroll at this point. Tatis is just that high up because of all the money that was taken early in the year when he was on that red hot start. I don't see Tatis winning it because, again, like you said, free swingers will go into big slumps, and Tatis is currently in one of those right now.
The only other guy I see is Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, I don't see that. Even though that's what Schwarber's 40. Yeah, that's too short. That's got to be down where Austin Riley is.
What is he at?
45.
45-1.
Yeah,
he's got 18 home runs right now.
Yeah.
And the Phillies have the best record in baseball, where you got Freeman and Ohtani and they have such great seasons. They say when you got two guys like that, they kind of cancel each other out. And maybe, Ohtani could lose a couple votes to Freeman and you get more votes for Schwarber.
My concern on the Schwarber end, he's still not considered the best player on that team.
And that's true too. When I said that, I was like, he's got Harper, so he's going to lose some votes.
Yeah.
Harper, we know what Harper's going to put up, but man, Schwarber's having a year. He's a great hitter. I saw him play in the Cape Cod League, and when I saw him hit, I said, this guy's going to win a batting title in the big leagues. Didn't realize that he was going to, give in to being a power hitter instead of being, a line drive gap hitter. If he wanted to just be a line drive gap hitter, he would win a batting title, but he decided to hit home runs instead. They asked Rod Carew that, why don't you hit home runs? He said, well, I wouldn't hit 383. I could hit 30 home runs a year. I'd only hit 290. I'd rather hit 383 with 10 home runs.
Schwarber right now, by the way, contract year for Schwarber as well. So he'll get himself paid in the offseason yet again, like he did heading into Philly in 2022. All right, let's go to the AL Cy Young. And, when we talked about this last time, Garrett Crochet was your betting favorite. That is no longer the case because Tariq Skubal is just on an insane tear in the month of May, where he has been the best pitcher in Major League Baseball by margin. Of course, his last start, the Maddox, 94 pitches, 2 hits, shot a complete game shutout, 13 strikeouts. Here's Skubal since April 27th, strikeout-wise. 11 in 6 innings, 8 in 6 innings, 12-7, 11-6 in the third, 8-5 2/3, 13 in that complete game over the weekend against Cleveland. He had one bad start mixed in there. He did give up 5 earned against the Red Sox, which raised his ERA by over half a run. But that half a run has been taken back after that outing against Cleveland. But Skubal won it last year. It's funny. We've been a long time since we've had these repeaters, but we look like we're going to get back-to-back in the AL and NL MVP races. Again, a lot of ball to be played. And right now, Skubal's an odds-on favorite to repeat his AL Cy Young Award winner. Freed's plus 450, Crochet's 5-100, Brown's 8-1. Everyone else is double digits.
Those strikeout numbers are impressive, but I'm more impressed with a guy that throws 100, walks less than a guy per 9 innings.
Yep.
His 0.92 walks per 9 innings.
Two walks in those last 5 starts. 2 walks, period.
He's just incredible. He's got such great command of a high leverage fastball, and that's why he's so good. And you know what? He's going to stay there. He's definitely got to be the odds-on favorite. And there's some guys having good years. Valde's having a great year. Crochet's having a great year. Bubik's having a great year. Hunter Brown,
Fried,
tremendous.
Yeah, it ended up being a pretty loaded pack at the top in the American League. By the way, Kenny, to accelerate your point even further.
Yeah.
68 2/3 innings this year for Skubal, 7 walks.
Oh my God.
Strikeout to walk ratio is 92-7.
And Jeff, he meant to walk those 7.
Yeah, 92 to
He
7.
meant to. There was a base open and a right-handed hitter up, and he did, and he pitched around him.
92 to 7. Oh, and by the way, 3 of those 7 walks came in one start.
Oh boy.
Just outrageous how good Skubal has been to kick off this year. And again, he should. I don't want to say there's value laying a price on a Cy Young in May. I just too many things can happen with pitchers.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, a few years ago, Robbie Ray on July 1st was 150 to 1 to win the Cy Young the year he won his Cy Young.
Yeah.
So there's just too many injuries that happen with pitchers. But boy, if Skubal keeps up this pace, he's going to be unanimous. If we're going down the board, I can't really justify going too far down the board at this rate. We both said Evaldi a month ago when he was in that 35 to 1 pocket. He's down to 12 to 1, so you at least got some closing line value that probably won't get there. And I know you had a big number on Fried, which is still alive. He's the best pitcher on the best team in the American League, arguably at the moment, having a great year with the Yankees.
You'll have closing line value there too.
I do, yeah. Nice 18 to 1. But even us talking about it yesterday, he said still Tarek Skubal is there. So it's going to be tough. But I still think that's a great number on Eovaldi. I'm surprised he's not even lower. But I guess people are kind of backing off with the year that Skubal is having.
I think it's just also, too, with the Rangers, just at some point, they did get Corey Seager back last night, but it didn't matter because they lost 2-0 in a game that, again, that whole series had a grand total of 5 total runs between 6 total runs between the two teams. I know DeGrom has won the Cy Young in the past where his offense didn't score for him. Of course, King Felix was 1 game over 500 in his Cy Young year. But boy, with the way Skubal's pitched, it's hard for a pitcher on a team that may not make the playoffs to end up beating Skubal, especially with Detroit currently with the best record in the American League as well.
You mentioned DeGrom too. And there's both of those guys. Those guys are
they're great.
They're going to put up the same type of numbers, and again, they could take votes away from each other. Where Skubal's just he's just heads above everyone else in baseball right now with that fastball and the command that he has. So he should be the favorite. I think he should be bigger than $1.20. I think he should be about $3 the way he's pitching.
Wouldn't argue with that. Again,
but you mentioned the injuries for pitchers.
It just again, like these, if there is an award market where you can get a big number at this time of the year and you end up winning it, it's a Cy Young award market just because of the injuries that happen.
Yeah.
Or you have a market like the NL Cy Young where right now you got Paul Skeens as your betting favorite at 2 to 1 at DraftKings. Zach Wheeler is at 3 to 1. Yoshi Yamamoto at plus 350. Everyone else is double digits. You can get plus 390 on FanDuel on Wheeler at the moment. I said this when we did this discussion a month ago. I'm not backing off. I like Wheeler in this market. He's the best pitcher on the best team at the current moment in the NL. Yamamoto, I am just concerned with all the injuries on the Dodgers staff because the Dodgers are making the playoffs. They're more likely than not winning the NL West again. By the way, they're only 1 game over 500 in the month of May. They're not playing their best ball at the moment. I just wonder with all those injuries, do the Dodgers become cautious with Yamamoto's usage down the stretch? Just because, again, Glass now expected to come back, but nursing injuries, got injured at the end of last year. Snell, we know his injury history. I just wonder, does Yamamoto, are they a little tempered with Yamamoto's usage down the stretch? And with Skeens, look, I understand the narratives there. I understand he's been awesome so far this year. If the Phillies win the NL East for the 2nd straight year, and Wheeler, who last year had a legitimate argument to win the Cy Young and ended up finishing 2nd in it, I don't know if again, we have to keep narratives and voters' minds in play here. I would bet Zach Wheeler at plus 390 at that FanDuel number that's available right now. Because if he stays healthy, I don't think we're getting better than that the rest of the season.
It's really tough. I mean, I really think it is a 3-horse race with those 3 as of right now. Yamamoto, I mean, he was the favorite, if not with
It was
Skeens
when we did this
last time we did it. So, I mean, I think you're getting a little bit of value there with that plus 350. You make a good point, though, with the rest of their staff. But, I mean, he's been so good as well. Has a few more walks than the other 2, but still, I mean, 1.97 ERA and sub 1 WHIP.
What do you do, Jose Luzardo, and he's 17-1 with an ERA under 2?
Well, let's put it this way, Kenny. If he has an ERA under 2 and he's 17-1, he's winning the award.
He's winning the award. So I'm just looking at his odds right now, but you got Zach Wheeler on the staff with him, and that's, I always say that's really difficult too when you got two guys that you're going to split up some votes.
I will say Luzardo's been awesome, and we talked about how that was a big pickup for Philly in the offseason. I think he's been, I don't want to say he's been lucky, but he's been luckier than the other contenders so far this year. He's got the highest whip of the collection, so he's seen the most base runners. 15-1 on a guy. Look, he's undefeated right now. His WAR is 3, so he's had an unbelievable start to the season. Logan Webb, as much as I love him, his number should be closer to 20-1 right now. Same with Hunter Green, who's, again, pitched better yesterday, but still a little bit of a rough patch going into that start. There's no one down the board, at least at the moment. But again, you can wait this out, especially in a compact top like it is right now. You can wait this out. There's going to be someone like a Michael King or even someone that may be off the radar right now that goes through that has a huge strike. Remember, Jake Arrieta, the year he won his Cy Young in 2015, Arrieta wasn't even on the radar in May. And then Arrieta didn't lose the start until the postseason that year. So there's always at least one of these two Cy Young markets. I think it's more likely here in the NL than the AL because of Scooble's dominance, where someone goes on a run and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this guy was 85-1, 100-1 on June 5th. And now we're on September 5th and he's the second favorite or the betting favorite at this point.
Looking at Chris Sale, but you also have Strider. We know the Braves are going to get hot. We've talked about that.
Strider's the one guy that could be that guy.
Strider could just have a tremendous finish to the season, or Chris Sale could, because he's pitching as well as anybody in baseball his last 3 starts, and we know when Chris Sale's on, he's impossible to hit. He really is. So that could be a guy that goes on a run like that. But then again, you got 2 of them on the same team. So.
Arrieta in 2015, just looking back at that, how dominant he was down the stretch. But again, like we mentioned Robbie Ray earlier, you had triple digits on Robbie Ray in July when he won his Cy Young 3 years ago. Those Cy Young markets can get very, very interesting as we go down the stretch here, to say the very least.
It's fun, too. It's fun keeping an eye on them and seeing if we can catch anybody before they drop.
Yeah. All right. You just saw that in the bottom. The ticker trivia is now live. We're going to take a quick break. Actually, that ticker trivia question is going across right now. We'll take a quick break. We'll have a look at some futures in college baseball because those totals are just not up yet still for the game ones or the first round of the regionals. And of course, game 5 at Madison Square Garden, game 5 in Dallas tonight when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Football contest sign-up season is here, and you don't want to miss out on the action. With millions of dollars on the line each and every week in the world's biggest football contest, there's only one proxy to trust, footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have set the gold standard for football contest proxy services with 20 years of experience and over 13 million in winnings for their clients. All you have to do is get to Vegas between now and the start of football season to sign up in person, and they do the rest, making sure your picks are entered every week. Whether you want to play in the Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, Super Contest Gold, or the new Super Contest College Contest, Maddie and Tony have you covered. Their new website has everything you need to know about these football contests and more, including how you can reserve the best proxy in the business. Experience matters, so go with the pros at footballcontest.com, the gold standard proxy service.
Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Back in at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Kenny White, Alex White, I'm Jeff Parles. College baseball tournament begins tomorrow. Kenny told us during the break that he will tell Alex and I his totals that we will have on the show for you tomorrow. But at least just looking at the bracket, looking at some futures book odds here, Kenny. Of course, the number 1 seed, the Vandy boys, get the top overall seed. So they're number 1. Texas, number 2. A lot of SEC teams in these national seeds. Arkansas, Auburn, 3-4. So, and then LSU is at 6. So 5 of the top 6 out of the SEC. North Carolina, the only one that stumbles that party. Right now, these odds from the South Point upstairs to win it all. The Razorbacks are your betting favorites at 4-1. LSU's 9-2. Vandy's 8-1. Tennessee, Texas, North Carolina at 10-1, Georgia 15-1, and then a whole collection, including an unseeded Florida team at 25-1 here, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Florida. They intrigued me. They got a pitcher named Coppola who just came back at the end of the year. He was going to be their ace, and he's a guy that could be a first-round draft pick. And he has thrown 4 really good starts, but he's only throwing 3 innings, 4 innings. I think they're ready to push him a little bit now because obviously it's do or die. But their staff is really solid team. You know, I mentioned earlier this year about Troy, and I talked about Troy being such a really good team. They're loaded, but they didn't make the tournament. Their problem was Coastal Carolina ended up to being a better team with better pitching, and Southern Miss. So those 2 teams were the far best teams in that conference, and Southern Miss and Coastal are in it. Coastal is a team who's been to the College World Series before.
Well, they've won it.
Oh, did they win it?
They did.
Oh, they won it. Wow,
yeah. That was what, 8 years ago now?
Yeah, well, that's pretty amazing that a Coastal could win a World Series. It is nice when that happens. When Fresno State won, it was nice to see that.
2016 was that Coastal Championship.
Is a team that has a shot. They are hosting the regional.
Yep,
and they could host the super regional as well, and they have the staff that can pitch with anybody in the country. So Coastal Carolina is going to be a long shot flyer team for me. North Carolina's pitching is tremendous. Now I mentioned Florida, and I should be talking about more teams from the SEC.
Sure.
It's a record year of how many teams are from the SEC. All of the talent in college baseball, most of it, the majority of it, is in the SEC. Tennessee they're not having the year they had last year, but they are still as good. Things just have to fall right for you. But Tennessee has a tremendous pitching staff, a really good offense. Vanderbilt and LSU are kind of my top teams from the SEC. I do like Arkansas, but not as much as I like Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
I just want to ask you real quick you mentioned Florida as a team that's not hosting. They have the shortest odds of anyone who's not hosting in the regionals. The only other team that's not a national host listed on your screen right now is Georgia Tech, who is 40-1, who got thrown in with Ole Miss. It was a little bit of a surprise to some that Georgia Tech was not hosting instead of Southern Miss, who, by the way, you mentioned those teams from the Sun Belt. Southern Miss, 16, so got the 16th overall seed, and Coastal was the 13th, so they all were national seeds. Is there anyone who's not hosting other than Florida, Kenny, that you would look at as a potential flyer, maybe to make the College World Series, maybe to win the whole thing as well?
A team that I bet yesterday, and Alex bet him, Duke. The Blue Devils did not start the year well. They've got a really good coach. This is the third school he's been at. He's been there for 13 years, and he's made super regionals before. He's never made the World Series, but he is a really good coach. And I thought at the beginning of the year, this was a team to bet on to win it all. Their offense has rated out in the top 5 in college baseball over the last 2 months, and that's seeing ACC pitching day in and day out. So they can swing it. They got two, 3 lefties in their rotation that can get the job done, and they've got a really solid bullpen. So Duke is a team. They're playing in Georgia, in Athens. They're playing a really good Oklahoma State team, and Georgia is a loaded ball club as too. Georgia's best player may be out though, and that could hurt them offensively. But Duke is a team that I like. I would go Duke before I would go Florida, but the Gators, as I mentioned, when you bring a guy in like Coppola that now was not, in the picture early in the year, and now he's made 6 starts, 19 innings. He's got an ERA of 1.86. They've got Liam Peterson, who's now he's in his 3rd year, I think, as a starter for the Gators. A ton of experience. He's a big time strikeout guy. He's got a great fastball. Aiden King's their number 2 with an ERA of 3. Billy Barlow's really good, and their bullpen's really lights out. They got a couple guys that are just tremendous. Jake Clement is one of the best in college baseball. So the Gators got a shot. They really do. And I think Duke's got a shot to get to the next round.
Might just be a crazy Florida year. Looking at these regionals right now, do you try and find any value of a team that you could come out of the regional? I know that's far.
Yeah,
to see the actual odds, but I mean, and do you go off of momentum, like looking at St. Mary's?
See, I love Vanderbilt and Louisville, but I love both those teams. I just don't think, the other teams don't have a shot. Would love to try to find a value team, which I just gave you a couple with Coastal Carolina's, the 2 seed in their bracket, and that's, and they're playing Florida.
Yeah.
Coastal's at home. Bad news for Florida, I guess, but that's going to be a tremendous battle between those 2 teams. And then East Carolina's there as well. That's a really good program that's always got good pitching. They just won't have the offense of the other 2 teams.
Kenny, can I just ask you real quick about the Clemson regional, because that was one that seemed to get stacked up with the Tigers. Of course, you get the host, but your reward is a Kentucky a really good Kentucky team out of the SEC, and then a West Virginia team that Big 12 people hoped was gonna move up the ranks as the year went along. They struggled a little bit, but ended up making it into the tournament. That's one of those where Clemson is one of the smaller regional host favorites here at only -110.
And the reason why is West Virginia had such a great year. They brought in a smaller school transfer in Griffin Kern, the left-handed pitcher, and he had a tremendous year for them. And their pitching staff is deep. West Virginia is. I don't know if their offense is as good, but Kentucky, you mentioned just it's another team from the SEC that is deep in pitching. That's they play low-scoring games, and I like teams that play low-scoring games. Southern Miss plays low-scoring games. East Carolina plays low-scoring games. Texas A&M, who was in the College World Series last year and just lost, plays low-scoring games. Tennessee, who won the World Series, plays low-scoring games. Texas now with Schlossnagle, they play low-scoring games. That's the way Kentucky plays. These teams are used to it. I make the comparison, the analogy is it's like an NBA team being able to play in the half court. These teams have been playing fast break all year long, and now they got to play in the half court. Now they all have to play low scoring games. These teams, Kentucky is used to playing low scoring games. Clemson may not as much. Clemson was a very good offensive team. They can really swing it, but Kentucky's the team that I would look at, I think, out of that bracket, Jeff, that they could win this bracket.
Plus 320 on the Cats right now over at DK. Kenny will give us picks tomorrow. We'll have them on the whiteboards for you tomorrow. No totals up yet, so waiting for those to populate the marketplace on these games.
I have a hard time with teams like Northeastern.
Not a lot of data on those.
No, I got the data on them, but their data's so good. They just play in a smaller conference. They're not facing as many hitters, but Northeastern's guys, even after I've adjusted their stats, have tremendous numbers. They're a really good baseball team. So my favorite team in the country is Connecticut. I love their coach. I think he's the best coach. He's the best college baseball coach in the country. He didn't make it. They didn't make it to the tournament. They barely got in last year, and they won the Oklahoma Regional, and they played Florida State, and they were 1 out away from going to the College World Series. His teams can do that. This Northeastern team reminds me of that Connecticut team. Pitching wise, they're let me give you this, what their raw stats are, but this is a really good baseball team. Number one starter, Alvin Cabral, ERA 2.74. He's their ace. Their number 2 guy, Will Jones, has an ERA of 1.82. 1.82. He's the number 2 starter. And then Gottsman's their number 3 starter. 64 innings. So this isn't like they threw 22 innings. His ERA is 1.69. Their ERAs are tremendous, and they're an outstanding offensive team too. They can swing it. They've got some hitters in the lineup. Maldonado, their center fielder, hit 15 home runs this year. Their left fielder Feinberg hit 18 home runs. Their shortstop Goodman, who's their best player, he bats fourth. He had only hit 10, but he hit 10. So they've got an explosive offensive team with the 3 best ERA guys in the country. Their number 4 guy, Max Griffin's ERA is 2.31. Their numbers, but they haven't played an SEC schedule. I've adjusted their numbers to if they played an average. I take everybody's stats and I adjust them all to if they played an average schedule. They still come up the top ERA team in college baseball, even after I adjusted it out to who they faced.
So they get Mississippi State. They're in the Tallahassee Regional with Florida State and Bethune-Cookman. Northeastern, the 3, the winners of the CAA this year. All right, let's shift gears. Let's go to these playoff games tonight. Let's start in New York. Let's start with some hoops. Madison Square Garden, Knicks look to stave off elimination at home against the Pacers, who have a 3-1 lead in the series. There's open 5. It's down to 4 now in this game with the Knicks laying it. The total is at 222.5. That has not budged at all. Again, I liked Indy at 5 yesterday. I probably would stay off of it now with the lesser number. That the health of Karl Anthony Towns' knee really scares me tonight with the Knicks. And again, I know the rotations are a little bit different right now. Their starters have the worst plus minus in the NBA playoffs. And if Towns is not 100%, I just have a hard time seeing the Knicks even getting this back to Middle America and be Indiana and Oklahoma City with both teams having a week off if Indiana closes us out tonight, Alex.
Yeah, and Indiana's just playing so good right now, and Halliburton is kind of taking it to another level. I was looking at some props potentially with Halliburton going over 9.5 assists. He's just facilitating so well right now. 15 assists in the last game on 24 potential. And then Siakam, you mentioned Cat being injured, and that's kind of his matchup. So kind of wanted to look at him and maybe some point props for him. But Cider total, nothing. I might look for some in-game here. I know you have Pacers, but anything for the total in this one?
I made it 225. I've been coming down. I've been on the over in all these games, and so my total's right there. I'm rooting for the Pacers. I'm not betting them tonight because I've got 2 tickets on them already to win this series. And I always say the hardest game to win is that closeout. So it is a closeout. And we know Jalen Brunson can put a team on his back and win it all by himself. I said the other day, though, I really feel like the only way the Knicks can beat the Pacers is if Towns and Brunson both have big games. Brunson's going to keep his team in the game, but I think the Pacers, if Towns isn't healthy and Towns cannot give, and he can't give you 18 and 10 tonight, the Knicks have no chance and the Pacers will win the game.
We'll see what the health is of Towns. Again, it banged up that knee. He's been banged up this whole series. Knicks are only 5-1 to win this series. I think that price should be closer to about 9-1 at best. So I would definitely not bet that. I don't see it. They really, game one that was it. Even with that steal of game three, it would have been over already if it wasn't for the steal of game three. And even if the Knicks win tonight, I just don't see them winning in Indianapolis in game 6 on Saturday night if we happen to get it. Game 5 in Dallas tonight. Stars look to stave off elimination. They take on the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers have won 3 straight after the bad third period in game 1. Dallas is -30, +10 on the Oilers, total of 6. Again, no Zach Hyman the rest of the postseason with the injury he suffered in game 4. Winner of this series will match up with Florida. Florida is going to be the road team in the Stanley Cup final. Winner of the West will get home ice. If Edmonton wins one of these last 3, we get a rematch. Also, a quick note on the Panthers. The Eastern Conference is now been represented by a state team from Florida now 6 consecutive seasons.
Wow. After
the Panthers won their third straight Eastern Conference championship. The Lightning, of course, won 3 in a row. They won 2 straight cups. There's 2 cups and then the final loss. Florida just trying to do the reverse now of losing their first appearance and then winning 2 in a row. But for this one here tonight, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I like Dallas. I think they win tonight. A little bit of a better effort being at home. They've been significantly better at home than on the road in this postseason.
Yep.
Won't be enough to win this series, but at least we'll get this back up north and make it, we'll put a little bit of heat on the Oilers. I still think Edmonton wins this thing in 6. Do like Dallas, though, at $1.30 favorite here tonight.
It feels a lot like that NBA, too, that maybe if they can win this one, but then Edmonton or the road team for this game will ultimately win it in game 6. But lean to Dallas here. I have no value. I did make them $1.30 at home. I think they might get a little boost with no Zach Hyman and find some ways find some advantages here against Oilers. I just feel like the Oilers have really reached another level, just like Florida did. And even though the Canes, had a nice 2-0 lead, Florida found a way in that second period. I'm a little hesitant that the Oilers might be able to do the same thing in this game tonight.
I was feeling really good about my parlay when I looked back. I knew it was 2-0 at the end of 1. And then I think there was 6 minutes into the second, it was still 2-0. I said, oh, that looks good. And then when I went back, I saw it was 3-2. And I knew that was, over with at that point. And I feel like I'm going to do the same thing here tonight. I've been betting over on Oilers games in Edmonton and betting under when they're on the road. It's been profitable, not as much as I would have liked to have been, just a small profit so far. I think I'm up a couple units. But I think I'm going to go back to under, but I like Dallas and I think it's correlated. I think that's the way you bet it. And yesterday's was easy. It really was. It was either you correlated it with Carolina and under, or you bet it the way Jeff did and you bet and you lay the $1.50, and you're going to get there one of the 2 ways. You could almost do that here and get a huge price on the Oilers minus a $1.50 here.
Yeah, you're going to get. I got plus 215 on the Panthers puck line yesterday, laying a goal and a half. I got lucky as hell, but
hey, in the playoffs you're going to have a lot of empty net time.
Once that penalty was committed, you knew Brindamore's history. You knew he was going to be aggressive. He pulled Anderson a lot earlier than a lot of other coaches would have, and again, they get the empty netter after the penalty and perfectly placed puck. Bennett was already halfway down there. The easiest punch in you'll ever see to get Florida back to the Stanley Cup final. But you're 100%. These elimination games are always correlated like that, right? Except for Game 7, which is very much different, to say the very least. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we get back. Whiteboards, trivia answer, and a bon voyage on a Thursday here, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
This is the best sports betting network.
I would argue it is a total mismatch.
There's value with underdog prices in series.
I would lean to the under here.
My numbers are saying I got to bet the Tigers.
Two-way action.
When in doubt, we juice that favorite, that extra nickel.
Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Forget about it. The best.
Back in Sports by the Book, Jeff Parles, Alex White, and Kenny White are working on their whiteboards. Those will be up momentarily. But first, trivia question of the day. Which 10-time NBA All-Star is to be inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame twice this year, both as a player and for his role of the 2008 Olympic Redeem Team. And then I would even argue his 2012 appearance was even better. Of course, as national champion, multiple-time gold medalist, never an NBA champion, though. Carmelo Anthony, the correct answer here today. JR gets that right. Still, that 2012 game where Carmelo scored 31 points in a quarter in one of those games against, I believe it was Tunisia in that 2012 Olympic. Actually, it was Nigeria, excuse me, a game where the Americans set the record for most points in an Olympic basketball game. JR is going to win again in May, right? And JR, we're going to give a prize to JR at the end of the month, to say the very least. By the way, if you're watching us for the first time, thank you for watching us. Click that subscribe button so you can chat along in the chat. All right, time for plays of the day. A shorter card in baseball, so maybe a little bit shorter here for Alex White. Kenny's still working, so we'll see where Kenny ends up. But we can begin today with the plays of the day for Alex White.
All right. I am starting with an over here with Tampa Bay and the Houston Astros. Both these teams hitting very well last 7 days in particular. And I don't really trust either pitcher with Baz or Gusto. So over 8, I think that's a great number there. Game 2 of this doubleheader, I'm going with the Braves and the Phillies under 3.5 in the first 5. Chris Sale, Zach Wheeler, I think we'll be okay here under, even though it's a lower number with 3.5 rather than 4.
Take a quick pick so I can talk about this, but I'm ready to go. I put a couple college baseball games on their sides, but again, my totals are so much better than the sides. But I do like these two teams, and I've talked about them extensively here on the show today. But I'll start in the NHL, Edmonton and Dallas going under the 6. I'm not going to put the parlay on there. I want to get a winner. I think it's going to be a tough-fought game today. No, Zach Hyman helps lead me even to a little bit more of an underplay there in that game. I'm going with the Phillies with Zach Wheeler in game 2. They hit lefties very well. It is Chris Sale, and he has pitched well, but I think Wheeler is the better pitcher. The Phillies lineup is the better lineup. I'll take the Phillies. And then college baseball, Duke, I mentioned minus $1.30. They're one of the best offensive teams in college baseball, and I like their pitching staff a lot. Their numbers aren't great, but I do like them, what I saw from them last year. In Northeastern, I'm going to go with them, plus $1.15, and they're fighting Mississippi State, who's a good baseball team, and they're an SEC team, but this Northeastern team is, I think, could pull a shocker off. They could win that Tallahassee Regional because of their pitching staff.
Plus 15 on Northeastern. We'll have more tomorrow from Kenny on totals. Alex and I will give them out. Kenny's off for the weekend. we'll see Kenny again in June. How about that? Sunday's June.
He'll see you in June. Okay.
Yeah, he'll see you in June. Yeah. Alex and I are back tomorrow. Chris Andrews will join us as well to wrap up the final show of May tomorrow right here, 23 hours from now at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not. Follow us on social media as well, Sports by the Book, across social medias. Kenny, Alex, thank you. Ryan, Sean, Vince, thank you as always. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again tomorrow. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.